Hi, I'm Bridget Edell, and welcome to this edition of Lip Gloss on the Sander, where we go on the hunt for that perfect piece of furniture for your home. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in the neighborhood, and I'm here with Carrie Diety, and we're going to go out and about on the hunt for something special for her house. So tell us what you're looking for, Carrie.
I have two teenage daughters, and we're a family of four, busy family of four, and I really need sort of a catch-all piece that we can put, both magazines and that type of thing in, but, possibly a lot of electronics. We seem to be the family,
Great.
iPads and whatnot. So I'd really love something that could
Work in your
accomplish that.
Great. Do you have a budget in mind?
Well, I'd love to keep it under $20 if possible, but if it was really the right piece, I'd be willing to go up to about $40.
Oh, great. Okay, super. Then that's a budget that's really realistic. Today we're going to go to the Gaithersburg Outdoor Flea Market every Saturday at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. They have the outdoor flea market, so I've really had a lot of luck there. This way you can go and hit a lot of vendors in one stop. So before we leave, I really like your purse. Tell me about it.
Oh, thanks. I found this great boutique, and they carry a lot of recycled products. This is actually the rubber from a tractor tire, and it's got recycled washers and other automotive types of things. And I really appreciate the whole, recycle concept.
Right. I love it because, the good thing about what I do is that we're recycling too. And so it's, why go spend $500 for a piece for your living room if you can go and find something, and I'll teach you how to fix it up. But I really love it. So,
well, thank you very much.
But I just wanted, even though I love it, it's really not the best type of bag for yard selling.
Oh, okay.
Because, you have to dig in and, scoot around for your things. So
what do you recommend?
Well, I like this bag that has a lot of small, it goes over the shoulder, and you can easily slip your items in. So these are some of the items that you should always have: your car keys, some kind of lip gloss, because you never know who you'll see at a yard sale. You always want to be prepared.
That's right.
A pen and a piece of paper in case you want to note things down, or you want to write down dimensions, or you just need someone's phone number or something. Tape measure. This is the most important thing. Your telephone, because you don't want to be a woman out without your telephone, and your cash. Always carry cash, because a lot of times sales are cash only. Sometimes you're lucky they take credit cards, but it's just easier to have some cash, and especially small bills. It's better for negotiating. So those are my tips.
The flea market would probably be the only place that would take a credit card.
Well, don't assume that because it's a flea market they would. A lot of times the vendors now have these things that they attach to the top of their phone, and then they can swipe your card, which I see a lot now. But don't only go with the Visa card. So this way I'll show you. You can just slip everything easily into your bag, and then you'll be ready to go. So I have everything back in my bag, and so I think we're ready to go. I think we'll get in our car and drive over to the flea market, the fairgrounds, Montgomery County Fairgrounds, and that's our first stop.
All right, great.
Let's go. All right, so I have my bag packed. Now, your bag, since we're not going to use it, you probably should just put your money in your pocket. And don't forget your lip gloss. Because
important stuff.
Yeah, I think you left it in the car. Here's yours. So you never know who you'll see, so you want to always look good. And here we are. Oh, wow, look at all the vendors.
Wow.
Gosh, very excited. A lot of people here today, hoping they have the piece so we don't have to go searching too much for that piece for your family room or living room.
Right.
Weather is good. It's not too hot. Actually, perfect conditions today.
Boy, I bet you there's a whole lot of stuff, not just a table.
All right, let's find a parking spot, and I think we're good to go. All right, so why don't we walk by some of the booths here? Okay, now see this booth we would probably pass because it's got, CDs and children's clothes. So not probably what we would stop and look at. And this sale has some great stuff if you've got young children, but we're kind of past that
stage.
Yeah, like they've got some great things. So we'll probably pass this one too, but we'll keep walking. And looks like, oh, look at this booth. Now this one catches my eye right away.
It sure does.
It's got furniture. It's got
Vintage signs.
yeah. So let's go pop in here and see.
Sounds great.
Okay, good. Hi. Your booth is beautiful.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello.
I'm Bridget.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Candy.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
This
you.
is
Hi,
Carrie.
Bridget, I'm Carrie. Nice to
Carrie,
meet
tell
you.
her what you're looking for.
I'm looking for sort of an end table, just as kind of a catch-all in our family room. Magazines and extra, even remote controls and maybe some
Right,
electronic
right.
things, games. I have two teenage girls.
Ta-da.
Oh my gosh, look at this heavy piece.
Yeah.
Can we bring it out here? See it? Is it heavy?
No, not that heavy. I haven't had it that long. So. But this is old. Probably 70s, 80s.
Sure.
Old telephone table.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
a telephone table?
Yeah. Telephone. Well, back then, phone book.
Yes, phone book, right.
But,
now it was iPads and
Exactly.
iPods.
And, you know, under there, but
Huh.
it's got a little,
See, I think that
but it's an easy fix.
this piece looks really solid, sturdy. I mean, with the exception of this piece right here, we could just sand that.
Okay.
I mean, I can see this piece to give it like a more current flavor. You could do like one coat of one color and then top it with a different color and maybe distress it through.
Yeah, shabby chic it, like that chair.
Right,
Just
right.
put water and paint, water in your paint, put it on, and take sandpaper and kind of like,
That sounds
let the wood
interesting.
come out.
Right. Because this finish right now does look a little dated.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Okay, so why don't we let's think about that for a
Okay.
minute, and then how much are you asking?
I'm asking 25.
Okay.
Okay, 25. Okay, great. So we let's look around a little bit. Will that be okay? And we might come back together.
Great.
Okay. All right, great. Look, I see the table still there.
Oh,
So
yeah,
let's
it
go
is.
over and see if we
You're
can
back?
do some negotiating.
We're back.
We think that this table is going to be absolutely perfect for her.
Okay.
For her space in her house. You mentioned that the price was $25. Is there any room, any wiggle room?
Yeah. 20?
Would you take 15?
I haven't had it that long. I mean, this is the first day it's
Okay,
out.
okay.
20. I'll do 20.
I think that's good. I think that's in your budget. Your budget was
Okay.
around 20, so I think that for this piece, I think that's a great deal.
Alrighty. 20 it is.
All right.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. I'm so glad it's still here. So clearly I learned my lesson from the last show that my back of my car is completely clear, so I can put the furniture in a safe manner and head back home. So. Okay, so here we are back in the lip gloss and sander studio with Carrie, our guest for the day. And we're going to go ahead and I think the process we're going to do, because you said you wanted to match your decor of your room, we're going to go ahead and sand it, lightly sand this first. We have minor imperfections on the top, but generally this piece is in really good condition. The legs and the body of the piece are really solid. So the only drawback on this piece is that it's very dated.
Agreed. The current finish it gives it kind of that 1970s country look, which I guess my family room's a little bit more old world looking.
Okay.
So I think your concept of kind of multicolored a little bit would really sit well, probably next to my leather couch,
Right. Okay,
which is in a brown.
So yeah, so our first step is going to be to use the sander, and I think for this step, because it's a small piece,
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and use this mouse sander, which
Okay.
is a little smaller. Okay, so because I'm right-handed, I'm going to go ahead and turn this piece around. It'll just make it easier when I'm sanding. And Carrie is also right-handed, so. All right, now remember when you're sanding to always go with the grain.
Okay.
And back and forth motion, not side to side like
Okay,
this.
okay.
It'll make marks and it'll make it harder to repair at the end.
Okay.
Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay, now let me just take the rag. You want to hold the sander?
Sure.
Okay, so just make sure when you're sanding, you can always just take the dust off with a clean rag.
Okay.
Okay?
So
Now-
that feels much smoother
Much
already.
better, yep. So we're going to go ahead, this paint, and just show you a little bit. You just kind of dab it in and stir it up. And this paint's a little thicker, you can see.
Yeah,
which
I
like.
can see.
So I just selected this paint because you can see it's a thick consistency. It's not like your normal latex paint that you can get at your local hardware store in the gallon or whatever. This is just a thick, gloppy paint. It's going to be our base coat for this piece, and then when it dries, we'll put the white coat on top, and it'll just give it, like when we distress through, you'll see the hardy brown come through. You won't see this light stained finish.
Okay.
While she's doing this, I'm just gonna reapply some lip gloss. You know, lip gloss is just like furniture. Like, you know, sometimes you go and you buy like you need a $24 thing of lip gloss, and you go to a high-end furniture store and you buy a high-end piece of furniture. But sometimes you just go to the store and buy a $2 lip gloss and go to a yard sale and find a really inexpensive piece. It's going to look amazing and look like you went to the store and spent tons of money.
Okay.
It'll be right there. And then I'll go ahead and do some of the spindles.
Okay.
I'll show you how to do that.
All righty.
So you want to just see like this, just like this, kind of like a back and forth motion here. Instead of up and down, you want to kind of go, just like the Karate Kid. Remember him?
Wax on,
Wax on. Yeah, right. This one was paint the fence. This one was wax on, right? Okay, there you go. I'm probably dating myself with the Karate Kid reference, but
Well, you know, it's been remade.
yeah, okay, good. All right, see that? See, this is the only way I like to do spindles.
Okay.
Some people out there may love to do spindles. I just happen to not like it so much. See that? Even more like slop it on there. Good. See, easy peasy. Well, we're done with that step, and I think it went okay. What do you
That
think?
was easy enough. Yes.
So for this step, you can see that this paint is thicker and gloppier.
Definitely.
And it'll dry quick, but we have to wait for this to completely dry before we go ahead and put the white coat on. So you can just see that there are some spots that are kind of light still, but that's okay because it's going to be the base coat. Just as long as you have the general area done, and then you can see we've done the spindles.
Right.
And so we'll wait to it to dry, and then we'll go ahead and do the white coat. So yesterday, not only did we pick up some cool new safety goggles, I also picked up some more supplies that we needed. So go ahead and take a glove.
Right.
I picked up some extra latex gloves for the next step of this project, and it's nice. I picked some colors, some blue, so it goes well with our color-coordinated Easter egg palette today.
Yeah, we do look very springy.
Yeah, so you know, you don't have to always just get like the clear gloves. You can get some blue and add a little color to your studio when you're doing a project. So you know, for this step, remember that you don't need the heavy-duty gloves when you're not using stripper. You're just painting, just to protect your hands. And it's always good to remember to take off your jewelry. So a little tip is make sure you take off your rings and good jewelry while you're doing projects with paint or other things, because you don't want to get any kind of material on your nice jewelry.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
good tip to remember. So we'll just dip our brush in like we did with the brown.
All right.
And go ahead and just start globbing it on.
All right.
So just like, you know, this kind of back and forth like we did with the brown, and it just goes on, light coat on top. And you can see already this color is just a little off-white. So the process will be, we'll put the off-white on, and then we'll wait for it to dry, and then we'll sand it. Carrie, I'm so sorry, I almost just glopped paint in your hair, so I apologize for that. Maybe
You got it on my lip.
did I?
Yeah. It's all right.
Okay, sorry about that. Maybe we should have the mask. And typically, you know, for this, you wouldn't really need the mask because it's not.
Well, we haven't had lunch yet, so it was
Yeah.
a little, you know.
So there, that's good. So you just see, it's just very. You can also do this instead of this back and forth. You can do this if you wanted.
Okay.
But for, you know, we seem to just kind of do this nice little stroking here. So we'll just go ahead and continue doing the step till we're all done. So we finished the white coat, and you can see how amazingly different it looks, right?
Right.
So you can kind of visualize right now a little bit of how it'll look after it dries and we start sanding. So for this step, you really don't need, like I said before, to actually coat the whole thing like you would do if you were painting like a table or a desk or something
Okay.
with just one coat. So for this step, we just kind of, like we said, glopped it on with our old brushes, and now we're just going to wait for the paint to dry. So lucky that today is such a beautiful sunny day. So in order to let the paint dry a little faster, we were so lucky and put the piece outside, and if you can feel, it's all dry, and you can
Yep.
still feel the rough consistency.
You sure can.
We were noticing when we were outside looking at it that it almost looks like one coat of primer on there. But tell us all what you thought about that.
Well, I was hoping, this is very white right now. I was hoping to see, I guess, some more of the brown coming through from underneath. Is that possible? Or is that all in like how much we sand back off?
Right. So
Okay.
so just to let everyone know, because Carrie wants a lot of the brown to show through, we just did this one coat of white that's not super thick and not super covering. So you can see that a lot of the brown's coming through anyway.
Right.
So that's why we went with this look. And now we'll do the sanding
Okay.
step. And so the brown will come through the white, and you'll see a lot more of the brown.
Okay.
And so we'll go ahead and start
Sure.
with the sanding. For a piece like this on the flat surfaces, you could use your small mouse sander if you have a mouse sander. And but for this size project, I probably wouldn't recommend it because there's only two small flat pieces. So by the time you're going with the grain, it's almost too small of a section.
Okay.
So you could do it for the flat pieces, but I would not suggest it for this.
Okay.
For
It
this,
seems like the control would be less
right.
with that sander.
Because you're really, by the time you're in, you have to come back, and you could be all over the place.
Okay, yep.
So for this piece, what I think we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the sanding blocks
Okay.
that you can pick up at your local hardware store. This one is a coarse one. It's almost like the hardest sandpaper, like the 80 grit, because we really want to have it the brown come through. We're going to use a heavy grit, coarse, and I already had one started on another project, so you can reuse these until you can tell when the grittiness is all gone.
All right.
But luckily I had just used this on a little bit of another project, so
Okay.
it still worked. So go ahead and let's show everybody this grit, and you feel it, and you can feel this is a little
Yes.
coarser. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and show you how to do
Okay.
this. And remember, you need to always have your safety gear, and we have our masks on because we are going to be sanding.
Okay.
And how did the new glasses feel?
Much better.
Yeah, you look
much more comfortable.
Much better. Okay, so go ahead and let's put on our mask. And we'll start this next step. So, all right, so you would just put your hand on the top
Okay.
and take your sanding block so you have some leverage, and just back and forth. And then you can go ahead and feel already how
Oh, sure.
how the roughness of it is already starting to get smoothed out.
Okay.
So go ahead, why don't you go ahead and try. You can go ahead, put your hand on for leverage. Can I make one tip here? Just for leverage, you might want to just put your hand here.
Okay.
And that way you can really use your arm,
Okay.
and really, because you really want the brown to come through.
Okay.
So not, you're doing nice little light.
Sure.
Just put your hand down here and just really,
Old-fashioned elbow grease.
right. Okay, so what we had was Carrie was using this medium coarseness block, and I was using the 80 grit coarse block. And while we were sanding, Carrie was not getting enough of the brown through that she was hoping, right?
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you another coarser block, so that
Okay.
way more of the brown will come through.
Okay, great.
Okay, so it's always good, like if you're working on a project and you feel like it's not quite right, you can always take a break and just reassess what you're doing.
Okay.
And I think you just want a little bit more of the brown.
Right.
Okay, so we'll
Right,
continue
okay.
with the flat part. So you can see in the front here, we go ahead and when I'm distressing the table with the block, you want to just make sure that you hit the spots where, like, naturally it would get hit in the house, like, or where it would
Okay.
get the most wear and tear.
Okay.
So normally on the edges is where you would take your block and really try and distress the brown through. And you'll see when we do the spindles too, kind of on the edge, like where the most hitting or the most wear and tear on your piece would be.
To make it look more natural.
To make it more authentic,
Okay.
distressed,
Okay.
you would go ahead and just make sure you go on the edges and really get the brown, which you can see I did in the front here. So that's just another tip.
Okay.
And one more thing while you're doing the sanding, you want to make sure to feel the actual spindle. So you can, as you're sanding, as a process, just feel it, and you can feel the smoothness, and you can feel the rough spots. So while you're in the middle of sanding, just take your sander and get the rough spots out. Like, just feel with your hand, rub it up and down, and make sure that you can't feel any rough spots. And if you do, just take your block or your actual piece of paper and just go over it and just make sure it feels smooth.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just taking my hand now and feeling around. I think we've got most of the rough spots
Yep, it
done.
seems like it.
And what do you think of the level of distressing?
I really like the distressed. I really like how the brown is coming through. My only concern is I was hoping that the white was maybe just a little richer, a little darker in color a little bit. Kind of more, I don't want to say creamy necessarily, but maybe so. Is there anything to kind of tone that color down a little bit?
Okay, well that makes sense because I think you mentioned yesterday that you were looking for more of an old world.
Right.
And that's what happens when you're working on a project. Sometimes you have a vision and you think you want it to be more of an off-white, but you really seem to want more of a creamy white for that old world feel. So what we'll probably do is go ahead and take some light stain. And once we clear off all the sand dust from the piece, you would get the piece all clear of the dust.
Okay.
And then we'll just, with the rag, just put a light coat of stain on. And then that will tone down the white a little bit. So it'll have more of that old world.
Okay, I see.
So we'll go ahead and try that. So don't worry, that's what happens a lot of times when I'm working on stuff. You'll be, in your mind, have a vision, and then you do it, and you're like, it's nothing what I thought. So we'll go ahead and try the stain and see what you think of that.
That sounds
and
great.
That kind of gives it more of that rich feeling that will blend better in your house for your electronics.
Okay, good.
Okay, right. Get ready to try the stain and hopefully
Yes, I'm excited to see if it tones it down a little bit, gives it that just a little darker, richer.
that you feel like you're in Italy.
That's exactly
We're going to be
right.
speaking Italiano.
That's
Capisci?
right.
All right, now here we go. Now make sure you have your mask and your gloves on.
All right.
And your goggles. I've never been to Italy, so this will be like I feel like I'm there. Okay. All right, so we'll just
We have to get the Chianti out.
So you take your rag and you just dip it into the stain. So we'll just go ahead and we'll do a little spot right here, so you can see how it just takes it. What do you think of that?
Oh, that looks really nice.
That looks nice. So you can take the method would be was to put a little bit of stain on, and then you would take a rag and wipe it off a little bit, so you can see it just takes the white down just to a little bit.
Yeah, that looks nice.
Great. So we'll go ahead and try this. Since Carrie likes the color, we'll go ahead and do it on the piece.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So while I was doing this method here with the stain lightly on the leg, I think what we should do is actually, if you wet the other rag instead of keeping it dry, it will take off a little more of the stain.
So it's kind of a happy medium between this and this.
Right.
Okay.
So if you use it, you can use a dry rag, but it won't take off as much. It'll rub it in more. But I think what you're really looking for is just a little bit of toning down the white. So you would wet your rag lightly, and that would just take off a little bit more of the stain.
Alrighty.
So pleased with the color. What do you
It looks
think?
awesome. It is exactly what I envisioned way back when we were at the flea market. It's awesome.
I'm just wait till Candy sees.
Right, we'll have
She
to.
will love it. Candy, our vendor that we bought this from.
That's right.
I think she'll be amazed. We'll have to send her a picture.
Absolutely.
Or stop by the flea market next time we're there and show her.
Right.
But I really think it did what you wanted it to do. I really think it toned down the white and gave it that old world feel,
Exactly.
which will be a nice blend for your house. The next step I think we should do to finish it off, I suggest using a neutral color wax.
Okay.
And you can pick this up at any local hardware store. It's very simple to use. You can apply it with a white rag, which it's lint free, and that's the best way to apply it.
Okay.
So I'll show you how to go ahead and do
So what is what does it do? Is it more of a sealant type of concept?
Exactly. You put it on, and so if you put a cup with so you'll get a water stain, or it'll help like with little nicks if you're going to put your phone and pens and keys on here. It won't nick the wood, and it'll just protect the wood.
Great.
So you would take a clean rag, lint-free wet rag, and you would just kind of just rub it like that on, and then you'll go with the same motion that we did with applying.
Right.
And you would just kind of go back and forth, and you can see the beautiful sheen already that it's giving to the top of the piece. And a nice neutral color so it won't change the color. You can
Right.
get wax in a bunch of different colors, but I always suggest just a neutral wax for pieces where you don't want the color to change.
Okay,
so you
great.
just keep rubbing your rag into the wax and go back and forth. The same motion that we did with the sanding block. And when you get to the spindles and the spots that aren't flat, you go ahead and do the same method
Okay.
with your rag around, wrapping it around the spindles.
Great.
To recap the steps that we did for this piece after bringing it home from the flea market, the first step was we brought it back and we painted that first coat of the chocolate brown color
Right.
on top of the finish. The method that we used, just to remind everyone, we did not sand ahead of time. This method, we just mushed on the paint with the brush for the first coat with the chocolate brown. Then we let it sit last
Right.
night, overnight, and then today when it was dry, we came and put the white coat on. The white coat of paint in the same technique with the mushing on with the brush. An old brush is fine for this technique. And then after that dried, we went ahead and sanded all over. And then you didn't like the color. It was a little
It's
too
a little
white.
too white, right?
And then do you remember what the last step was after we sanded?
We did a stain.
Right? Before the stain, we have to make sure you get all the sanding dust off.
Oh,
Don't forget that.
yep, that's right.
Because don't forget that step. It's very important because you do not want the sanding dust all in your stain.
Gritty, yes.
Okay, so then
Okay.
we applied the stain and just a light coat of a light stain with the method of the dry rag with the stain followed by the wet rag to get off most of the stain, just to lightly color and bring this color down to that old world feel.
Which it did beautifully.
Yeah, and then the last step was the wax. And so you just take your hand and you can just feel how nice that
Sure.
feels after a couple coats of wax. And I think it's going to look really great in your house.
Great, I'm excited to try it out.
We're back here at Carrie's house with our finished piece. And do you want to remind everybody what your needs and requirements were when we talked at the coffee shop?
Sure, absolutely. We're a busy family of four. Everybody's coming and going. We really just needed a catch-all piece. We don't have a home study, so that we needed something that could fit into our family room.
Right, so this was out at the flea market, a candy shop. We found this old, dated 1970s table that was more for a phone and a phone book back in the day. And now in present day, it's much more useful for your cell phones and your keys and your iPad and some magazines. So with just a little bit of paint and a little sander, we transformed this fairly unattractive piece into this beautiful, current looking piece.
Right.
And I think it really looks great in your house.
I really agree.
Did you enjoy the day?
It was fun. I learned a lot,
Yeah, you learned a lot at the flea market,
and just the whole production process.
yeah, it was a really good time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, that's it for this edition of Lip Gloss and a Sander. You can follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook. I'm Bridget Edell. Thanks for watching. This episode of Lip Gloss and a Sander was sponsored in part by Amy DePretta and Patty Elder Remax Metropolitan provides clients with over 20 years of experience, offering superior marketing, staging, and consulting with VIP quality service. Wardrobe provided by Lipstick Lounge, where savvy girls shop. High-end consignment boutique for unbelievable designer fashions at affordable prices, located in the Kentlands. Promotional consideration provided by Delaware Design Company, marketing communications with direction. And by 4 Dimensional Real Estate Solutions.